Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, Andrew O'Hara. Here with me, as always, it is Peter Pumpkin Eater's distant cousin, Steven Secret Heathen. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. That's pretty good off the cuff. Let's see. I know
Thanks.
Betty Botter bought some butter, but she says the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, that'll make my batter bitter. But if I have some better butter, that'll make my batter better. There we go. Did the tongue twister. I don't know the Peter Piper one. But I know Betty Botter, who bought some butter. There you go. Secret Heathen. That was intense. Okay. We have, Andrew, there is so much stuff happening in the HomeKit world. I guess everybody's trying to get stuff out before WWDC because I guess everything's going to be about VR then. What do you think, man? I mean, what is your over-under? I feel like the VR rumor mill and expectation is at like fever level. Is it happening? It has to be, right? VR headset at WWDC?
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, that's not even the part that's like kind of up for debate at the moment. It seems like it's as good as locked. I mean, you've got like 5 different like operating system trademarks filed under Apple's own San Francisco font. You've got invites going out to VR, AR, news outlets to join the presser. Like, all this kind of stuff really points to that happening. The real question is, what is going to be the selling point, and will people care? Because in just my discussions with your normal average layperson, they may love Apple, but they're like, okay, well, I don't... Like, VR especially hasn't, like, super taken off, in my opinion, and the biggest thing that it's taken off with, the biggest application at the moment, has been gaming, which is literally one of the things that Apple is historically worst at. So...
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the Venn diagram between like Apple enthusiasts and VR headset enthusiasts, like the overlap is like 1% or less. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just never.
Seriously, it's like you own a high-end PC to power your VR headset.
Yeah.
And there's so few games on Apple, and then there's like the stuff that's supposed to be like tethered primarily to like more iPhone than anything. So like, how is this gonna? I just need to see like the vision. I think that's what that's what I'm kind of most curious about. What Apple's vision? It wasn't, but I'll take it.
Yeah, we will see. Maybe we'll be able to control our HomeKit devices in VR just by or mixed reality AR. You just point to the light. Like you're tapping a light bulb and it just turns on. Or you make like you're touching a switch, but you don't actually touch it.
I mean, we've talked about this. If they put in U1s into accessories.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I know this wasn't even in the notes. I was just like, I listened to a couple podcasts from people, and even the old pundits, they're like, oh yeah, it's definitely happening. So I'm like, wow, okay, I guess, all right, we're gonna do HomeKit in VR, I guess. We'll see. We'll see. All right, a couple quick things before we jump into the news. You should check out the Apple Insider Daily Show if you don't already. Top Apple headlines in just a few minutes every morning. So check that out. And also, we have some 5-star reviews from Crewman15 from Saltburn by the Sea in North Yorkshire, United Kingdom. So if you want to really triangulate where you are, give us all that information in your 5-star review. We appreciate it. And then ZWS397, who also asked a question, and we will try to get to that at the end because we have a ton of listener questions and stuff. So that will come later. But we have to hit the news. We should do a sound effect for that. We've never done that. I feel like pew, 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 or something like that. I don't know.
Oh no.
No, we'll do that. All right, news. Matter 1.1 is released. Enhancements for developers and devices. Wow, enhancements. Do you know these enhancements? Oh, sleepy devices. There we go. The enhancement is sleepy devices are less sleepy. Is that right? Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's basically it, man. Like CSA promised like what biannual updates to Matter spec, and here we are, version 1.1, and basically bug fixes, which is like important, but there's still some underlying issues. We're gonna circle back to that towards the end. But yeah, so no devices. I think they promised that the next update, 1.2 or whatever they're going to go with later this year, is supposed to have some new device categories, which will be more exciting. But right now, this was, unexciting and still has some issues that we'll talk about.
Okay, very good. Second, Yale Assure, which is a smart lock. We've talked about the Yale Assure ones. They actually added Matter support and keyless entry. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the Yale stuff HomeKit compatible before? At least not HomeKit.
Yeah, so the way Yale stuff works, if you scroll a tiny bit more down, you can enhance on that picture. Enhance. Yeah,
Command
so
plus. Zoom in. Look at that.
Yale, what they do is pretty cool. They create like a bunch of different locks, and they have these swappable modules that you can put in the back. So they can create one piece of hardware, and then essentially you can take out the module and put in something else. So there is one for like Zigbee, and like think one for like Z-Wave. There's like a Wi-Fi one, and then yes, there's a HomeKit, a native module that you can put in. And basically, they launched a new bundle for the Assure level lock or the Sure lock, not lever lock, I don't think. That comes with this new Matter module that will work natively with all the various platforms. So that's the big update here. Is they announced Matter was coming. This is finally available to purchase in like a black color and like this satin nickel color. But yeah, they used to have or still do have a HomeKit module, and now there's a Matter module that can come installed for this lock.
Look at that. I've never had a Yale lock. I didn't know it was a module, a Matter module. And I don't get anything. All right, well, there you go. So, Yale Assure, we got that smart lock. Also, Govee light strip. Every time I search on Amazon for, like, light strip, bulb, LED, anything, I feel like Govee is on that sponsored ad train so hard. It's just, like, Govee everywhere. But, yeah, so Govee light strip, which they have some HomeKit stuff already, but now you can have Matter on a Govee strip.
No,
No,
Steven. Can I call you Steven?
Yeah, that's fine. The note says Matter now available. What does that mean then?
Yes, Steven. It used to be Google Home and Amazon Assistant worked through cloud integration. They never had HomeKit. I don't believe.
Okay.
Govee never had HomeKit, but now this new Govee Smart Light Strip M1. First light strip to work with Wi-Fi and Matter, because the only one is Thread. So first one to use Wi-Fi and Matter, and it's the first Govee product to work natively with Apple Home. So Govee's M1 light strip has multiple addressable zones, so you can like set like multiple lights, I believe, in like one light strip, but you can't do that with Matter. Like you can just do like one color. And compared to like, so others could do this before, right? I'm trying to think of the big ones, like Nano Leafs, light panels. I got this kind of sum up on the back, the elements line behind me. You could assign like multiple colors to them, and then you would save it as a scene, and it would show up in HomeKit, and then you could control it. That doesn't work with this because it's all Matter, no native HomeKit. So the only way to do like the multiple colors and everything is directly through the Govee app. There's other features too, but like that's one of the bigger ones. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but it works. HomeKit now works with Govee's product.
Through Matter.
Yes.
With Matter. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a caveat when like you can now get this thing in the Home app through Matter. Disclaimer. Asterisk. You know what I mean? Just so people, because we're going to talk about some of the issues too. But anyway, okay. Next up, this was Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg. He was saying that iOS 17, one of the features is that you'll be able to have a iPhone lock screen as a kind of display. He didn't have really specifics, but basically like nightstand mode on the Apple Watch, like when you're charging it, then maybe when you dock the iPhone or put your iPhone on its charger, it'll have smart display type features, possibly things like widgets and maybe even home controls, and that this would be an early or first step towards a full-on smart display for your home where you can like control your whole home stuff. So I think this would be exciting. I think it makes sense, especially as an extension of the customizable lock screen that came last year and widgets before that. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. What you think?
I'm pretty sure when MagSafe came out, I said this should be a thing. So I think like 2.5 years ago, someone at Apple heard me and was like, it's a good idea.
That's right.
What's wrong with this?
Absolutely.
We'll drop it in 17. But no, like this is what we need, like right, especially with MagSafe, where it can be propped up at such a good angle and work horizontally so easily. Because people remember the days before MagSafe, when you're using Lightning, you just stick it in to the Lightning port, and it would be docked vertically unless you had some weird thing that would like clip it and hold it horizontally, and you plug the cable in. phones were generally docked vertically, and then you had something else for a stand or a Qi charger you would lay it down on. So I think this made a bunch of sense, and I wanted there would be some differentiation where we could even run shortcuts based on, clipping it to different MagSafe things and some sort of smart display come up. Nightstand mode is okay. If I have it on my watch, I don't necessarily need like a duplicate nightstand mode on my phone. But then again, I do wear my watch personally, but I know a lot of people just put it by their bed, and that's like their clock for them. I think the widgets and other stuff is far more interesting and really neat to see. So I like that idea, but it almost makes me nervous because I think that means we're at least a year away or more from a smart display. Because here's how I feel like Apple's products will roll out. We get iOS 17 with this feature for iPhone.
Right.
Completely ignoring the iPad. And,
True. Yeah, exactly.
And that is where, Steven, how much better would that be on an iPad when you dock your iPad on your desk? Like,
for sure.
That's what I would love, a freaking live dashboard. I could plug in my iPad on my desk or something, or sitting in its smart dock or something, and you've got like live widgets and notifications, all stuff coming up on the screen. And that would be perfect. And then that just needs to pivot to a display situation.
Yeah.
But we're going to get it here on the iPhone first, so.
Well, I would like this feature. I have an Eve button right next to my bed, literally to run my goodnight scene. Like, all I do, like, yes, I can also ask Siri because I have a HomePod Mini there, but sometimes when I'm just getting into bed, I just like hitting the button quickly, and the scene is going to run, and don't have to say anything. And this could take its place, because my iPhone is also on the nightstand. If there was a little lock screen that had some scenes and HomeKit devices, and I could literally just tap my iPhone screen, I think with the always-on display, this makes a lot of sense because then you could just tap. But I'm curious, like, will it take 2 taps? Like, will you have to tap the screen to kind of, like, wake it so it's active and then tap a widget to run it? Or
but if you're doing that, you could just open Control Center and you probably have the button for Goodnight because you run it at the same time.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it really needs to be a one-tap mechanism. Like, if this is going to be useful as a home controller, which also means it has to have location awareness, because if you're charging your phone, let's say in the office with like maybe you have a MagSafe charger on your desk, you wouldn't want home controls just on your iPhone where anyone passing by can just tap it. So it would kind of need, like, maybe this is a shortcuts automation, maybe this is a focus mode thing, but like maybe like in my sleep focus mode or in my evening focus mode, put on my always on display with the controls on screen and like be able to control without unlocking. Which there is that, or we already had that mechanism in settings, because you can turn off things like Siri access, calls, and all that with the screen locked. Control Center is another thing. You can choose, am I able to swipe down Control Center with the screen locked, or do I have to unlock it? So, Apple already has some of those customizations, so maybe that will help this kind of situation. But I'd be down for this, and like you were saying, I would like the widgets too, like the weather and maybe calendar to be able to see your first couple events in the morning. So I hope this is a thing. And, we think it's a likely rumor.
Do you think, Steven, that this is a precursor for the actual smart display? Because the rumored smart display is supposed to not be based on iOS. It's supposed to be based on tvOS, because HomePods are based off of tvOS, and tvOS honestly seems like it makes more sense for running a smart display because you already have the HomeKit control, and you can just add a little bit more functionality for widgets or third-party apps to run on these different screen sizes. That's not your television, and I can see it. I don't know if, like, why build it here and then duplicate it onto a thing if it's, then it would have to be running a whole other operating system or something else. I don't know.
Yeah. I am hoping that Apple does something like Google did with the Pixel tablet stand, because I would love to my iPad mini, it sits around so much of the day. I've been editing podcasts on it, and so that's a really useful use case. But otherwise, it's just sitting around. Like, if this could sit around and also be a useful smart display, like, I love that idea. I almost think I would prefer that as opposed to a bespoke attached screen and speaker deal, but I'm not sure, and I really don't know. It would make sense for tvOS to power a dedicated smart display, but also tvOS of all the OSs is kind of meh, and I would not I don't prefer that.
A smart display is just so limited. Like, there's not a ton of functionality there that we need.
Yeah.
Full iOS. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. But we'll see.
We're going to run
I'm
widgets.
hopeful. Yeah. Anyway, I am hopeful that this feature comes to iPhone in some regards, and I think with the always-on display lock screen and customizable lock screens last year, it does feel like it could be leading to this. Gurman's been pretty spot on too, which we will see about this headset, man. He's been so bullish on this headset if this thing doesn't come out. But anyway, all right, we still have more news, but I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, which is our friend at ExpressVPN. Listen. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like passing a note in class and having the teacher read it aloud to everyone. Did that ever happen to you in school, Andrew? Did you ever pass a note and the teacher was like, "I'll take that"?
Nope, I didn't live in a sitcom, so.
You didn't live in Boy Meets World?
No.
Or the Wonder Years? Okay. I can't say that's ever happened to me, but I did pass a couple notes when I was in school, and if someone read it out loud, that would be horrifying. But don't do that. But here's the deal. You should use a VPN. There's so many use cases for a VPN. Not only can it do things like hide your internet traffic, if you're on public Wi-Fi especially. I'm going to be traveling soon, and I'm going to be in some airports and in some hotels. And as soon as I see that, that screen that comes up in the hotel, it's like, put in your last name and room number, and we'll connect you to the internet. Wink, wink. It's like, yeah, you're probably going to do something else too. So I am going to do something to protect myself. And that's when, use ExpressVPN for stuff like that. Or if you just want to watch the shows on Netflix that you don't have access to, you can do that with ExpressVPN, because then you can just open the app. It's real simple. You just push a button. Say you're tuning in from the UK, and ExpressVPN can make it look like you're in the UK. And then you get to watch other stuff too, that might be not on Netflix in your country. So I'm just saying. I mean, they say this is a thing. You can do this thing. So do that. Also, sports. I don't know if you've ever done this. I've maybe never, if maybe not, done this, but sometimes games are blacked out because they're your local team, and but if you were watching from another state, say Utah, which might not have a team that you care about, then you don't get as many blackouts. So I'm just there's lots of use cases for a VPN that you could use. Andrew's he's not saying anything. He's saying no comment. He's probably watching stuff all over the place. But I don't know. I don't know that. I won't, and I won't know what you're doing because you're using ExpressVPN, and it hides your internet traffic. So anyway, ExpressVPN is rated number 1 by CNET and TechRadar. It works on your iPhone, your Mac, your iPad, even on some routers, Wi-Fi routers, so you can make sure all of it is protected. So listen, protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/HKI. That's expressvpn.com/HKI, and you can get an extra 3 months for free when you sign up. expressvpn.com/HKI. The link is in the show notes as well. Thanks, ExpressVPN. And wherever you're tuning in from. Who knows? I don't know. Andrew doesn't know. Andrew, and blink twice if you're under duress. He is under duress. Oh, no. He blinked 5 times. Never mind. All right. So Yeelight Gateway. I have no Yeelight anything. I don't know what this is. But the Yeelight... no, I know what it is. Yeelight announces that they have added Matter support to their gateway. So, sorry, I'm trying to change my camera with my foot pedal, and I was having a conniption there. It was not working. But anyway, so the Yeelight Hub now has Matter support, or their gateway, and so Yeelight devices, you get Matter, all the good stuff that comes with Matter, or buggy stuff. We'll get into that. So yeah, there you go, Yeelight. And no comment. Any comments on Yeelight? No.
Not really. This is this is for their pro installation stuff, which is really, really nice. So I'm just glad they're continuing to support that, and it's ahead of their regular consumer brand, I believe.
Gotcha. Meross, I know how to say them, and I know you say them. I heard someone else actually say their name on another podcast. They were talking about smart home devices, and they totally butchered it, and I kind of chuckled inside, and I was like, "We've said it right from the beginning. We know how to say Meross. Get out of here." Anyway, they announced a socket thermostat with HomeKit, and I don't this is something available in the EU. I don't even know what this is, and so EU listeners, reach out and tell me what this is and if you're excited about it. I really don't know. So it's a socket thermostat with HomeKit. I don't know what it is. So anyway. You can see it if you're watching at youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Let us know what this is and if you're excited about it, but it's available. You can get it right now. I've never seen a device like this. I don't even know what it is. Anyway, that's the Meross. Oh, I also have. Have you ever had their sensors, the Meross sensors? You ever tried those? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
I do have this. I haven't set it up yet, but they have a smart door and window sensor now. Meross, Apple Home, don't need a hub or anything. So I'm gonna be trying that because, yeah, I like contact sensors. Try it out. Anyway, okay, that's Meross. Now Aqara also announced a bunch of things, and whether or not it's going to come to the U.S., hard to know, hard to tell. But they revealed light strip, ceiling light, curtain motor, and new switches. Again, they've shown off things like this before. I really do like this smart wall switch. That's pretty cool looking. I like all the colors and the design. Pretty sweet. Also the curtain motor, very sleek. Whether these things come to the U.S., again, always remains to be seen. But it would only, let's see. Yeah, if they exist, it might just be China, UK, potentially EU. But, man, they make a lot of stuff. Aqara. So there you go. Do you like that switch look, though? I like that switch.
Yeah, I like the different colors and stuff. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. All right, and then Sonoff. Are you familiar with Sonoff? I don't know.
Yes.
Sonoff. They're going to release their first Matter-enabled relay. This is a relay that goes like behind a switch. So if you wanted to make a switch smart, but you didn't want to change the physical switch, this is a relay that goes behind the switch. And then because this is Matter-enabled, you'd be able to use it with Apple Home. I feel like, I don't know, maybe in the EU they have much deeper like junction boxes or whatever. I feel like my light things would not be deep enough to put a relay behind a switch, but that's what these things do. And so you'll be able to get one from Sonoff.
I have that Hue relay, whatever it is, that I have in my one room that you can press the button and it does things. So it looks pretty similar.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. A lot of stuff coming out. That'll be coming soon. All right, now I guess I don't know if this is news. I mean, we did talk about it before, but your note is quite it's strong note. Strong note. We're talking about Macs. Can I just say, I'm going to say it here. I was like, I don't know how this branding change is going to be. We're talking about HBO Max being rebranded to Max and adding other content into that app. Every time I see a tweet, an article about this, anytime I see it in a headline, I immediately think, who is Max? Who are they talking about? Because that's just my mind goes to like that it's a person's name, and like I don't know, it's just so bizarre, and I never think first, oh right, the streaming service that used to be called HBO Max. So I do think now it is a terrible branding, because every time I see it and hear it and read it, I'm like, who's Max? And like when I first saw your note, I was like, Max sucks. Who's Max? Why? What did he do to Andrew that was so bad? And so I downloaded the app. I know we had listeners with various issues. I saw the tweets. People were like, couldn't log in, didn't log me in. Like it was buggy that first day. For some reason, I didn't have any issues. I logged in, carried over my watch history. Like it was all good. But I don't know. Tell me what's been your experience, because it's apparently different from mine.
Well, it's not just that. Okay, so first off, it should be a pretty easy transition, right? You should be able to either download the new app or it'll automatically switch over for you. Your login credentials, everything should stay the same. Your watch history, everything like that should still work. Now, originally, reports are coming out that they had dropped support for the Up Next queue in the TV app, which was immediately going to infuriate me. But apparently, that has started working for people. It was just not showing up initially for whatever reason, but that's working now. There was also a myriad of other issues, from videos not playing, stuff saying it wasn't available in your region. There was people who didn't have like the commercial version or something, and then the 60-second ad would play instead when they tried to watch things. There was audio syncing up with the video not working. Some of them would have audio but no video. Of these issues going on with Max, which to me is crazy, because it's a rebrand and yet somehow your streaming doesn't work. Like, it should have been so simple, like a name change basically, and yet it seems like they kicked all their old tech and brought in all the new tech. So one of the biggest problems with the new tech is that they've replaced the video player again. And if anyone remembers the last time that HBO did that, they got hammered because they switched away from the default player in tvOS, and it came with a whole bunch of new issues. And now they've done the same thing. So when they did that last time, they reverted. Like in a week, it was back to the old video player, and everyone was happy again. Now they've once again gone to a non-native video player on tvOS, which is why we're talking about here. We're talking about set-top box and everything like that.
tvOS, yeah.
And the new video player doesn't support things like the reduced loud sounds and all of these the jog wheel on like the new Apple TVs. That isn't supported. They've taken away so many features that they used to support. So aside from all of their rampant issues on technical side, they've reduced the functionality for Apple TV users. Then they're still screwing over other people. I mean, it still doesn't have all the content as HBO because they pulled things like Westworld and all their other big shows because they didn't want to pay for them anymore. They were trying, they claimed they weren't, but they were basically screwing over writers by dropping credits on some of their new shows, and they said that was a technical error when they were migrating content, which seems sus. I don't know if did you see Zaslav get booed at Boston College? Because that was one of the best things.
No.
He's the CEO of Warner Discovery, and they gave him like an honorary doctorate, and he gave like the commencement speech for like their 150th anniversary or something. And he got up there, and as soon as they were like putting his, scarf on, and everyone is yelling at him and saying, "We don't want you here." And then he starts to give his speech, and it just the stadium is filled with boos before they start chanting all in unison, "Pay your writers, pay your writers."
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been very critical of him since he's taken over, if anyone's followed my Twitter, because he's just been so bad for viewers and for creators that it's just been terrible what he's kind of done to all of those amazing brands. But so Mac's rollout didn't go great.
And to be clear, Andrew's note in here was like, Max F sucks.
Yes.
And so...
and that's not offending anyone named Max. I'm talking about the streaming service Max.
I was like, man, somebody named Max did Andrew
Seriously,
wrong.
apparently anyone who's named Max that's met me is like, man, I made Andrew so mad. All he does is complain about me.
I guess Max stole all your HomeKit devices or something. Like I don't know. This Max character.
Max has problems. I mean, there's blackouts.
Just another quirk about tvOS, since we're on it. I use restrictions on my Apple TV because my 3 kids in the house, and there are certain apps that I want to require a passcode to open, and the biggest one being YouTube. So you can set the age limit for apps. You could set it at 12 plus before, and you were able to, for YouTube, when you opened it, you had to enter a passcode. Now, YouTube changed its age limit to, I think, 17 plus, and so, or lowered it. I forget which way it went. But anyway, whatever the age limit is now for YouTube, the restriction setting I have to use now basically makes any streaming app behind a password, like Netflix, Disney, like it's silly. And so it's on it wasn't Disney, I'm sorry, but it's Netflix, like Prime Video, Max, like they're all now behind that restrictions passcode because YouTube changed their age limit on the app, which is a weird quirk. And if you do screen time settings and restrictions, you get. But all that to say, apparently, when you set restrictions for ratings like TV Mature and TV 14 and movies like Rated R, when you go into certain apps, it will require that passcode to watch a movie. So, for instance, you can go and look at the Apple TV Plus content in the UI of tvOS, but if you tried to play a Rated R movie, like, I forget if Greyhound is Rated R, but whatever it is, if you try to click it, it'll ask for the passcode. And then you have to put that in to watch it. That's how the restrictions work. And it even works within certain apps. I need to check if it works in Max now. It was working in HBO Max, where if you went into HBO Max and you tried to watch an R-rated movie, my Apple TV required that restrictions passcode. And because the app was actually, you could access the tvOS's restrictions. I'll have to check how the Max app works now. But apparently when something requires a passcode to watch, the Apple TV does not let those episodes and movies be added to your up next queue. And I only know this because I'm getting to the point. I was watching Silo. I really enjoy that show on Apple TV Plus, the new Silo show with Rebecca Ferguson. And apparently it's rating, I think it's TVMA. And I kept not being able to find the next episode I wanted to watch. Every time I opened my TV, I was like, listen, I've watched every episode. I've watched 3 episodes in a row. Why isn't episode 4 just right there on the home screen so I can click up next? And it's because, and I realized when I clicked the next episode, it required the restrictions passcode, is because if a rating for TV or a movie is restricted with your Apple TV OS settings, then it will not place those things in the up next queue. I guess it's some kind of like, if you don't want your kids watching this, obviously you don't want it on the front screen. I get that. But it is an unfortunate quirk because it makes it harder to find all the Apple TV Plus content that I've been wanting to watch, because it's not easy to find it in the TV Plus section of tvOS. And then it's like I basically have to search. Every time I want to watch Silo, I basically have to go to the search window,
Siri.
say Silo, ask Siri, and then it plays it. And maybe I could do that right from the top of the home screen, but it was just a weird quirk I discovered. And if there's people out there using restrictions, like, it's weird. Stuff is weird when you start adding that stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I wanted to contribute. Anyway, speaking of Final Cut, yes, that's a hard left turn. You had something that was piquing interest on your Twitter. I couldn't tell exactly what it was. It looked like something wooden.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also in relation to Final Cut on iPad. So tell me, what did you have going on? Very creative.
This was not related to Final Cut at all, but we do have Final Cut in our notes to chat about since you and I both edit videos.
Oh.
But I was sharing this on my Twitter this week. So this is my wife came up with this idea for Mother's Day to make custom wooden music boxes for all of the mothers in our lives. So we had 2 different designs. One design looked like a vintage radio, and I did like some leather work for a strap with some like braiding on top of it, and I did like this quarter sawn oak that has like the shimmer effect in it for the body with like exotic woods, like the grill in the front, and they looked really nice. And then the other design was like I can show you, Steven, there, if we focus on the camera. So this one, I actually surprised my wife. So Faith didn't know. She had come up with the idea to do this for everyone else. She didn't know that I was making one for her. So she likes walnut, so I made her box out of walnut. And they look like little vintage record players. So hers...
Andrew, you made that thing?
So this is a walnut box, and then the plate that everything sits on is curly maple. So again, it has like a cool like shimmering light effect to it. I've got little walnut accents for like the holder of the buttons or the knobs. This is a brass rod for like the little player head, and then I used a piece of ebony that was really fun to try to cut into a disc like this for the actual record. And then to top it off, this plate actually comes out. I held it on magnetically so you can see the music box hardware on the inside. Yeah. So we ordered these the music boxes, like the actual motors. We ordered it out of Singapore, the little turnkeys on the bottom there. We ordered the music boxes out of Singapore, like the hardware, the motor, and they custom made it. Like you can send them the song, and they'll use some special software to transcribe it. And you go back and forth on the parts that you want on the music box, and then you have your own custom song on these music boxes. So we ordered 5 of them. My 2 sister-in-laws and my mom and my wife's mom, and then I made one secret for her to surprise her. But yeah, so that was a fun Mother's Day present, and I really wanted to add, because immediately I'm thinking smart home stuff, I really wanted to add like an NFC tag so that you could like tap it, like just to try to make them cry or something. Like you tap it and it pulls up an album of that person's face, like, and then just like can shuffle through. Word. So Faith would like tap it, and Harrison's photo comes up, and she can just look at his photos while like the song plays in the background, all pretty. Like, I could still add an NFC tag, but I wanted to add one on like the outside, and this is all carved from a single piece of walnut, and the other ones use red heart. So I didn't really want to like mar this at all. So I didn't end up putting a tag. So I could put one on the inside somewhere, but it's got to be really, really in for an NFC to tag to be read easily. So it's super delicate to try to get through the wood to get it thin enough to do that. So I'm still thinking about it. Maybe I'll still add one to my wife's box. But yeah, so that was my fun project. But anyway.
That is impressive. That is very impressive. Kudos to you for Mother's Day. Because, I mean, it's Faith's first Mother's Day.
Well, she's
right?
had Mother's Day before, but this is the only one that's like for her.
So gotta...
Like the first is her as a mother. Yeah, she's like lived through other Mother's Days.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I get that. But listen, that gift is over the top. That's amazing. For Mother's Day, for my wife, I've done this a couple times, and if you need ideas out there, I made a video of my kids looking at older photos of themselves. And so like I airplayed some old photos of them like when they were much younger and filmed them kind of commenting on the photos and then made a video of that. And then, you know, in the video I actually put the photo they were seeing and then kind of overlaid them in picture. And, you know, it was just kind of a nice, like they were walking down memory lane or seeing pictures that they didn't remember because they were like 2-3 years old and kind of commenting on it. And it was a fun watch, you know, 7 or 8 minutes. So, you know, make somebody a video, you know, for next Mother's Day or Father's Day.
Well, speaking of video editing.
Thank you. So, yes, where I was, yes, that's the better transition. Final Cut for iPad came out last week. I downloaded it. I tried it. I'm curious your thoughts on it. Oh, you go first.
I don't know. I don't want to rant too many times during one episode, and we're already clocking up the time limit today. So you can take the lead. I already had a video and a post out on the biggest missing features here, but I was not in love with it as I wanted to be. Yes. That's my short version. I'll let you take over from there.
Same. So there are some parts of it that are like really impressive. You know, the multicam editing. Building that onto iPad, it's like, wow, that's great. And it feels just like how I do it in Final Cut on the Mac, like 2 thumbs up, auto crop feature, the live drawing, like those are really cool. The 2 big omissions for me, which Apple didn't specify this at first, and then once I actually tried it, it made it clear, you can't edit off external drives, SSDs. So like you can't connect an external drive to your iPad, leave the footage on the drive, edit it in Final Cut, and then export. You have to physically copy whatever video footage to your iPad device in order to edit it in Final Cut. And that kind of stinks because if you want to use Final Cut Pro with like high quality video, if you're doing 4K video, you have a bunch of B-roll, it's going to take up a lot of space on your iPad. You're going to be dealing with moving those projects around. I was just going to ask you, Steven, is there, because I have not found this yet, is there a way to move the project files from like your main OS to an external, like on your iPad? Like, so you create your project. Like, I created a few sample projects, but they're already, 20-some gigs. Where do I put, like, without just deleting? And I couldn't see them. Go on. They're in the app. Yeah, they're not in. Like, you won't be able to see that in the Files app. Like, there's nowhere to go. So you literally have to transfer it to your Mac, which the Final Cut app on iPad has that mechanism to say send to Mac, and I will package everything together. And then you can have the footage there.
So,
but, like, yes, you're correct. Like, there's no easy way to like.
So I think it's not even send to Mac, but there is that export. When you hit the export button, it does say like export Final Cut for iPad project, right? So basically on your iPad, you plug in an SSD, you finish a project, you have to export the entire project, and then share sheet should come up. You can go then to files and then to your external to save it. Then you have to delete it out of your iPad. And then, this may be a stupid question, Steven. Is there a way to open that again? Like, yeah. So like once you export that project, you have to do there's no way to reopen it.
Right. Correct. Yes. It is super weird. And that's also not a workflow that I care to entertain. I've heard from other people who've been using Logic Pro 10 and they're more involved in that world, the ability to round trip projects in Logic Pro makes a huge difference because they can send it to Mac back to iPad and back and forth. And I've also heard from several people where they were like, it seems like Logic Pro 10 was ready earlier and has been worked on longer than Final Cut because of some of these additional features. That feels true. So that's weird. LumaFusion allows you to do this. DaVinci Resolve allows you to do this. Leave your footage on an external drive, edit it in Final Cut on the device, and then you don't have to take up your local storage. So this is not a limitation of the iPad hardware or iPad OS. It is strictly a Final Cut limitation. Apple just didn't build it in. They might add it later, but who knows? And then the other thing for me was just editing with the Apple Pencil. I was really hoping the experience with the Apple Pencil would be much more like how I edit podcasts in Ferrite, where you can customize how the pencil actually interacts with Final Cut. You can choose like dragging and selecting deletes, or it moves, and the pencil can do different things than your gestures, and you can get a lot more utility out of using an Apple Pencil with gestures as opposed to just using your fingers. And Final Cut just does not do that. Basically the Apple Pencil is a pointing device. Hover, you can like scrub footage, which is kind of cool, just hovering the pencil over footage in the clips or timeline. But it's not like editing is any different. In order to edit the footage, you have to tap a clip, tap either the, crop to the endpoint or crop it out, and it just was not what I was hoping for and what I thought Apple would do, because it's the Apple Pencil. Like, that's the whole deal. Like, that's the biggest difference in the UI between iPad and Final Cut on Mac. And so I was just disappointed with the lack of utility the Apple Pencil has in Final Cut. So I think it's really geared towards like social media, video content creation, people who are editing on the go. It is really not intended for Final Cut Pro Mac users to switch to this or to like use this 50% of the time. Like, it's really not for that. I think this is really more of like an iMovie upgrade rather than a Final Cut for Mac partner, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
but
I found so I like using the mouse more, just using like my Magic Trackpad or Magic Keyboard, but I found like the circle as the cursor was a little more, I guess, annoying to select things with, because like you go like
blunt.
I don't know, like if you're using it as like to highlight text, it kind of like changes or whatever, doesn't it? And you can like scrub, but like on this it still stays the circle. So I'm trying to grab like the endpoints of clips, and that gets funky to like be precise. And then on top of that, I kept having to like switch modes. Like on Mac, anywhere the cursor is, I got my in and out points to quickly trim clips, but you have to have like this certain type of selector, like range or whatever, chosen first to move around. So it felt like there was a lot more steps to do editing. But honestly, it's just the external media that was my biggest thing, because you eat it up so fast. I mean, everything I do is 4K, and you're gonna go, unless you have like the 2 terabyte iPad or whatever the maximum is, and even then, like I'm pretty sure I generate like a terabyte of content from CES every year at least. And where I'm just gonna finish one and then move it, and then you need to open it again, and it's impossible. You can't get that footage back once you export it off to a drive. Right. So like there's no way it's part of a regular workflow when you can't use external media. Like it's really not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is unfortunate. And even just keyboard shortcuts like B, like pressing B in Final Cut on Mac brings up the blade tool. You can cut a clip. Pressing B on the iPad Final Cut does nothing. And there is a blade tool, but it's super weird. Like, you have to select the clip first, also have the playhead over it, and then tap the blade tool, and it will cut it. And it feels like 3 steps for where on Mac it would.
Did you notice like when you were moving like the cursor, like,
and there are shortcuts.
You have to click on like the timeline above. Like, you couldn't even click on like the empty space to move the cursor. You have to specifically click on the timeline. Exactly. Some of the people who don't add it in Final Cut have no idea what this is, but there's like literally, like on Mac, you can literally click like anywhere in like the vertical position, it'll lock that playhead into that spot. But on iPad, you have to click on the little timeline above it to move the playhead. So it's annoying.
It's super annoying. It's super annoying. I'm gonna try, like, I'm going on a trip next month, and I'm gonna try and maybe just bring my iPad and see if I can. Like, I'm not having to do big video stuff on this trip, but I'll probably edit some video, and so I'm going to try it. I tried editing a full video. I really wanted to be like, this video was edited on iPad Pro, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I just can't, dealing with a lot
footage. I mean, all of my legacy stuff doesn't transition right now. So third-party content's also missing, and that's coming in a future update. I actually spoke to a couple big people who make like transitions and effects and filters for Final Cut. And I asked them, like, hey, are you going to create content for the iPad when that's available? And they're like, oh, we can't comment on our iPad plans because we're under an NDA with Apple. I'm like, well, I assume that's a yes. Like...
I mean, Apple says.
Well, I mean, because I was asking them for more like, hey, what kind of content are you going to support the iPad when that's available, and what kind of content do you plan on making? And they couldn't say anything because I'm like, okay, well, that's a yes, and clearly it's something that you're working on. So that's at least a confirmation as far as I'm concerned. Yes. I mean, we knew content was coming, but that they were working on it.
If anyone is listening, yeah. If anyone is listening or watching to this episode and you're at Motion VFX, you don't have to tell us who you are. You don't have to tell us where you've been. I'm trying to do the Taken thing. But you just create a burner Mastodon account. And then Mastodon Andrew and myself.
Twitter DMs are open. I'm just saying.
What is coming to iPad? And they're
open.
DMs are open. You can have a blue check with not even a profile picture now and still DM. No, I don't even know. We're not gonna get into that. Anyway. All right, we have a few last things here we can do in the last minutes.
Okay.
E-Flare or Dare? What is this?
We're going to make it a game show.
This sounds like a game show.
First off.
Hey! Is this the new E-Flare?
Is it?
That you're holding?
Which one's the new E-Flare?
Oh, my word.
It's awkward, Steven.
He's holding two E-Flares. I was just going to... YouTube.com/HomeKit Insider.
Okay,
to watch
so at least you can see the tops.
Okay, I see them.
You can see the tops of the orbs.
It's getting worse.
Okay. I wanted... So first we're going to...
Okay. Yeah, sure.
One of these is named the Moon, which is the old one, and the new one is just called the E-Flare. So let's see in real time how quick these respond. Because obviously they look the same, right? There's no difference in appearance here. So let's see...
Okay.
So
I can tell. It's very symmetrical.
Let's turn on
very symmetrical.
The old one first. So turn on the Moon.
We're not playing this.
It's on. That wasn't bad. That was actually a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. Okay. So that one is on. Let's try the other one. Turn on the E-Flare.
We're waiting to see, and it is not responding.
The new one didn't turn on.
The new one is not turning on.
There it is.
Andrew's test. Fail.
Now I will say.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. There it is.
What's curious, what I was wondering with these was how it's going to work with like the Thread network, because your Bluetooth is going to be Bluetooth, and it's going to just kind of try to connect. And these were both completely like sitting here, like they were coming from a sleep state. So. This one has actually been much quicker recently, so
right.
Set the E-Flare to red.
Okay.
Well, I'm waiting for Siri to answer first. Okay. From when Siri actually finished thinking, that was super fast. So let's try the other one. Set the Moon to blue. Fast.
Yes.
Siri's still thinking. Siri's thinking. Siri's still thinking.
Yep.
Okay. Thinking. And it's blue. So in general, the new one has been a lot quicker, especially on its base station. But I wondered how that worked with the Thread network, because as it moves around the house, it has to create that whole new Thread network. So this has not connected since I moved it down here for the production today. So once I feel like it actually connected to the network and figured out where it was and positioned my Thread devices, it seemed to go quicker. But as you move it, it seems like it takes a minute, like for that first response. Is in general much slower for your normal commands, but I don't know. It's definitely quicker on the new one. It's been sitting on my kitchen counter, and every time like I talk to it, even over the course of several days, it's like almost instant. Especially going through HomePods versus my phone. I probably should have tried to do it like through the Home app and not waiting for Siri to respond. But it's definitely quicker, especially coming out of that sleep state.
Okay, that's cool. I am getting one. I'll have it in a week, I think. So nice. I'll share my thing. But, I got the old one's behind me right there. It's still doing its thing. Still doing its job. It's still being blue. I don't know where I'll put it. But anyway. All right. Maybe we have time for like one more thing. What do you want to
okay. So first, we're going to save this. We're going to save this, and we're going to talk about it next time.
Andrew's holding
So for anyone who cares,
Bird feeder.
I've got the Bird Buddy. This is the original Bird Buddy, and it's very cool. And I'll tease it at that. But since I had promised a Matter follow-up.
Oh yeah.
Steven, I don't know if it's because the 16.5 release came out, but my Matter accessories are now responsive, quick, and have no issues working with Apple Home.
Okay.
So I pick a thing, whether it was the upgrade of the version of Thread, because we had that new version of Thread that came out with 16.5 update, or if it's something else, but everything seems to be super responsive now. Like I'll go to Harrison's room in the Home app, and his Nanoleaf light strip there, immediately it says its status and can be controlled.
Wow.
Same with the Eve Energy I have. Both great. Here's the rub with Matter still at the moment. Multi-admin is still garbage, which is what allows you to use it from multiple platforms. So like in one way, this is still fine. For your majority of users, something can be Matter certified, and you just set it up with your platform, and it's perfect. But when you set it up with another platform, the code on the device doesn't work. You have to generate a new code to pair it with that second platform. So in the Home app, you have to go down to the bottom of the accessory, hit turn on pairing mode, it'll give you a code. You go to the new app, you add accessory, you put in the code. So I've been trying to pair things with smart things, and I turn on pairing code, I go to pair smart things, fails every time. And it also does this weird thing where it says you have to first add this device to iCloud, which I don't understand. Maybe it's like a keychain thing. I don't know. But it says this must be added to iCloud. So then a modal pops up, shows a light bulb. You give it a name and it says has been successfully added to iCloud. Cool. I don't know what that means because it's already in the Home app. But then SmartThings tries to continue finishing the adding process because I want to control it from the fridge and everything and test the multi-admin stuff out, and it fails. Says something went wrong, and I've tried it so many times. I've tried restarting everything. I will say, with an asterisk, it doesn't seem to be just me. Jennifer Toohey actually has been complaining that she has not been able to pair her stuff with multi-admin to SmartThings, so it might be a SmartThings issue versus Matter or anything like that, or the devices. So it seems like maybe that we're just waiting for an update to the Samsung SmartThings hub to fix some of this stuff. But she says it's been a problem when she's setting it up on something else first and then on SmartThings. If you set up from SmartThings from the beginning, should be fine. But again, it's the multi-admin part of Matter that's still not working to control it from multiple platforms in the same house. That is because I have a Google Nest Home Hub on my desk. It's a smart display, got my AI calendar and everything. I love it. Can I control my Matter things from it? Yeah, not yet. So that's the part. So we got a Matter update. I think it's progress. Everything in HomeKit is working fantastic. But multi-admin on Matter still seems broken as hell.
And I still have not upgraded any of my devices to Matter.
Okay, apparently I'm the one taking the plunge for the both of us.
You, and then when Jennifer Toohey comes on a couple times a year, she can give me her update. I'm not doing it. Eve, Aqara has been updating some of their devices to Matter, and I'm just like, nope.
The SwitchBot guys here.
Now I do have the SwitchBot. I see. I'm in the Matter world because I have the SwitchBot Hub 2, but it's not like it was HomeKit and then added Matter. Like it's just a Matter hub. And so I am running that. It's not great because the blinds don't offer the 3 stages in HomeKit. So it's like, you can't really even use that well. But yeah, not doing it. No Matter. Doesn't matter.
Man, Steven, this was a big episode. So much stuff.
Oh my goodness. So much stuff. Listen, we have so much listener questions. Maybe we can spend like half an episode next time on it all. So many emails. And listen, I think HomeKit Insiders, they're like, our HomeKiteers, excuse me. Our HomeKiteers, I mean, they're like poets because they just write long emails.
There's never been a short email. No. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because there's always, I feel like, a lot of details that are important. But I get other random questions from readers on articles, and it's like I can respond back with like 5 words, and it's like, cool. And then all the home going like, we're going to have to address this in the show. It's going to be a 10-minute segment. That's
because when you listen to HomeKit Insider, it's because you are a cultured individual who is well spoken, well thought, and you know what's going on. You know what's up, and that's why you listen. And we are very thankful for it. And you should keep listening, and you can keep watching YouTube.com/HomeKit Insider. You can see Andrew's extremely awkward flare demonstration. And I would love to hear everybody's comments on that. I can't wait for the YouTube comments on that. That's going to be great. And, drop the 5-star review. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.
See you guys.